kind of agree with him. I think it definitely fits in with it. On this occasion, I think it worked very well. So although you have a very obvious mural in the background, the lady walking into it could almost be part of the scene, which she's not. And I think that works very, very well. So I'm enjoying that. I think it's got good humour. And the overall impact, I think, is quite strong. 18. Certainly fits the brief. Group of people going about their everyday business. The guy on the right seems to be more interested in his phone than actually getting on with the jobs with his hands. But yeah, green, I wonder where this is. Which part of the world this is. I think it's Britain, by the looks of things. Yeah, okay, we've got a bit of a shame that they're all facing away from me. We can't see any of the faces at all. But I suppose it's the activity that they're involved in, which is of more interest than the people themselves. So again, I think you've captured the scene quite well. Do we need this in the background, all this stuff going on, when this is the interesting part? Probably, I don't know. Do we need this? Doesn't detract from it, but it doesn't add anything to it either. But I get the reason why we maybe left it in. 16. Ganges, is it? Sort of thing. Yeah, on this occasion I don't mind the fact that the main protagonists are to the right, bottom of the frame, because you have a line of people and you needed to get the whole line of people in. So that's absolutely fine. We do have a progression through the back, so we've got a 3D effect, we've got a degree of depth going through. Some nice ripples in the water and a bit of reflection. I think it works quite well. It's a little bit dull in here. There's not much light on this one. There's a little bit of light on these people here. But you've captured the scene quite nicely. 16 again. This will be Leighton Buzzard Railway Station. Well, fabulous capture, isn't it? You just don't see this every day. So well done for doing that. I think that it's quite important that when you see these, if you're there with a camera and you're presented with this scene, you must take the photo. It's the law. So well done for doing that. Okay, the image itself is interesting. The tracks, of course, lead you through to the back of the image, and there's all these wares that were saying on the track. That's quite interesting. I'd like to have seen his face. It's a shame you can't. What, could you have got lower? You're obviously not. You're up high. That looks a thing. I think maybe if you could have got lower, so we could have seen a little bit more of the faces of the people. I think that would have worked well. But we have captured this very nicely indeed. It's got a degree of humour, which is an emotion, and I think that can work quite well. 17 for this one. Yeah, initially, immediate impact works very well as a PDI. If you're going to have a silhouette, the shapes have to be interesting. And they certainly are interesting, aren't they? It's a very clever title, Capturing the Sun. We have it nicely positioned, mainly over onto the right, with the sun just dipping down into the sea there, just below the horizon, and the lovely colour palette and a beautiful, beautiful silhouette. And all the individual characters can be made out quite easily. And they're all different and all very, very well done. So excellent capture. Well done, author. Can I see that again? There's a name for these people. They're called snoutcasts. That's a Billy Collins joke. We're standing outside. Yeah, okay, yeah, you definitely captured it with the man out on his own because he can't smoke inside. Well, I think they're more lax, aren't they, in France, about this sort of thing? But there we are. Yes, it's separate from the group, and that is the point of this image. Technically, I'll go back to what I said earlier about monochrome. Does it look a little bit grey, a little bit brown, a little bit sepia maybe, a little bit flat in tonal contrast? Yes, it needs to pop. It doesn't pop a bit. Again, it's all about the dynamic range and making sure that you have some very dark blacks, some nice whites, and all the different colours, tones in between, to really make it jump out. But the scene itself is very interesting, and I think you captured that nicely. The degree of separation with the chap on the left certainly is working in your favour. 17. I have to be careful with these images because there was a chap at our club who did nothing but bike shots. That's all he did, all the time, and his job was actually, he'd go on the cycling circuit, and he was an official photographer, and we got loads and loads and loads of these images, but I have to park that to one side because it's like the first time this particular author has produced something like this. I am enjoying the fact that we have the two leading cyclists at the front there, and the others sufficiently out of focus behind, so we can see that they are leading the pack, and we have got looks like a nice bit of distance between the two front runners and these two at the back there. There's enough detail in the background. You have to keep, you can't crop any more off because you want a decent bit of gap above his head, so that's fine. And it's a street scene, Tour de France type. You might not be Tour de France, but I don't know what it is. But it certainly is a street riding scene which you capture very, very nicely. He's nice and sharp, not easy to do. They're pretty much face on to you, so you don't get the vision at the side where, like a panning shot where you have the background moving. I think that works quite well. I'm enjoying that one. We'll give that 18 tonight. A bit of humour again, taken at a low, sometimes it doesn't usually work when you take it at a low angle because you're looking up people's noses, but on this occasion they're sitting down, you've got away with it, I think it works quite well. All enjoying their ice cream, nice capture, fairly harsh midday sun again, so that it's not always in favour, but you captured an everyday scene perfectly well. As a competition entry, it doesn't hold my interest beyond that, but it's adequately taken all the same. So 16. This is very pleasing. It isn't empty space really, in as much as we have to have these right at the very bottom in order to get the enormity of the mountain range around it. And this separation, the difference between there and there, is very powerful and works in your favour. There's enough detail in the sky to be interesting. Nice cloud formation, nicely held colours. It's a temptation sometimes to oversaturate it. This I think works very, very well, and the portrait orientation of this particular shot is emphasising the height of the mountain, and we have the two cyclists in the foreground to give it scale. So another very good image and very competently taken. So could I hold that back, please? Yeah, good. I'm with the humour of this side. It doesn't matter that you've got this harsh line going across here, and the fact that normally breaks the rule, doesn't it? But the fact that she's fallen asleep in the sun and now it is half on the face and half off it is of interest, quite humour. And we've got the two people here, decently separated from the lady on the left, and a little pigeon there as well, which all there's a couple of pigeons there, aren't there? Which all adds to the scene. So very, very nicely captured and enjoyable. 17. He should be smoking a cigarette, that chap on the left, shouldn't he? Yeah. Of similar field, isn't it? I mean, the proportions are the same, the main group on the right and the statue to the left, which is quite works well again in the same way, so you have this tension between them. Now, yeah, quite enjoying that. One lady's got it on the right, is shielding her eyes from the sun, so it is a very bright day, which is always difficult. We have some shadows here, which suggests that it's a little bit lower in the sky than it would be midday, maybe mid-afternoon, something like that. And he's chosen to give me monochrome, which is fine, because I think the patterns and the linear shape of the columns behind are strong enough to handle the monochrome treatment. I will go back to my bugbear again. I just don't find enough punchiness in this image. It's a bit grey again. I need some punchiness and some dynamic range in it to lift it beyond what is otherwise a pleasing image. So 16 tonight. Yeah, the beauty of still photography is capturing the moment. And I think it's the obvious part of it is you've got it just at the right moment as he's getting clocked round the head and a little bit of that sand or water or something like sand coming out there, isn't it? The great thing, you managed also to capture, even though the chap on the left is facing away from you, he's having his head turned around by that clump he's got with a big sandbag, so he's turned it towards you. So that's very decent of him to turn just as you're taking it over. Well done. I actually quite like the lovely little heads bobbing out from underneath as well, and that's really good. So a lovely capture, capturing the moment is what it's all about. So see that again, please. Lovely colourful costume, the hats really do set off the whole scene, complemented by the little tassels that we've got here as well. It matches the colours, very nice. The white shirt, I think, is good because you've held the colours together nicely in the tone, not blown out at all, which is easy to do. And the background is of such that it doesn't compete in any way. They're all separate, which is fine. The nature of what they're doing means, of course, their heads are down, which is a bit of a shame. Could you have got a lower vantage point? Just to see a little bit more of their faces, because the faces are full of character. I think that might have helped. So it's a little bit higher, your vantage point here. If you could have got down lower to see a little bit more of the face, I think that would have lifted it. All the same, I think it's a very nice capture. 17. Okay, we're missing a degree of sharpness, or there's a bit of your shutter speed is a little bit low maybe, so nothing is particularly sharp. You've got a bit of movement in there. But of course, it's really all about the movement, isn't it? You want to capture, you want to show some movement, otherwise merry-go-round might as well not be moving. So in some ways it's working for you, but perhaps it would have been nice if we'd got one of the faces at least static and sharp. But she has got lovely expression, this little girl here, that's very nice indeed. So, yeah, 16 tonight. Classic sharp Dorset coast, possibly. Very, very nice. The sharp edges of the cliff, and they really are sheer, aren't they? These people look as though they're about to drop off the edge. I mean, he looks as though he could be dropping off. He's probably quite a distance from it, but from here it looks like he's very, very close and it's very perilous. Yeah, very nice. Again, midday sun possibly, a little bit flat in the lighting, and we haven't got a lot of detail in the sea or the sky behind. I would like to have seen just a little bit more texture in there to set it up, but it's a decent everyday capture. So, yeah, just lacking a bit of impact, but otherwise it's perfectly well captured. 16. Yeah, another one of these very busy images, but of course you do have a central dominant element, which is this big sphere here, which is giving this lovely reflection of the scene behind. So we can see what's behind there, but the reflection, of course, is showing you where you come from. So I think that's very good and very effective. Yeah, I think it works quite well. 17 tonight. Sure they've not got their eyes closed all the time. On this occasion, it's the photographer's curse, the portrait photographer's curse. They close their eyes at the wrong moment. In this occasion, you've used it to your advantage, and well done for that. Yeah, okay, that's quite enjoyable. Two people walking through, the fact they've both got umbrellas is interesting. I'm going to repeat what I keep saying about this dynamic range and this general flatness of the over a foot and mono. Mono's not easy to get right. But yeah, it's interesting, it just doesn't quite work for me tonight, this one. I need them to be standing out a little bit more against the dark clothing of this lady here. The scene itself is not remarkable, so we need something to lift it above what you're presenting me tonight. But I do enjoy the fact that we've got these two walking towards us against the flow, as it were. But it doesn't work for me, this one tonight, unfortunately. 15. Cute. On this occasion, this wouldn't work quite so well if you didn't have that. The photo bomb was great, isn't it? I think, just adds a little bit to it. I mean, the three pups are beautiful, not pups, are they? They're little, what are they? Should know that, should know. No, they're not there. Little Pekingese type things, aren't they? But very appealing. She's loving it, holding these three, and the one behind is the annoying photo bomb in the background. Works very well for me. So yeah, it's interesting. And I don't want a photo bomb because that's the humour of it. Technically, yeah, it's okay. It's decently exposed. There's not a lot of light on her face, unfortunately. It's all a little bit flat again. You do have a line going through there, and it sets the scene. It's like a big wide river behind you. So yeah, perfectly good. 17. Yeah, I'm hoping that this is the scene as you saw it, and you haven't black and white and colour popped the umbrella. I don't think you have. I think because there's a degree of colour in this as well. I think it might have been the scene you presented with, or maybe you're taking the saturation down a bit on the background to emphasise the snow. Either way, I think it works. There's a degree of colour, a little bit of blue hint there, and that one. But that works quite well. It doesn't have to be a bright colour. If it was a black umbrella like this one, this is of course the dominant character, and I quite like the fact you've placed her in the frame there, and you have this lovely leading line through the back there, which is very pleasant indeed. So it's a nice winter scene, offset pleasantly by the blue umbrella. 18 tonight. Certainly fits the, you can imagine him being the artist, can't you? That look to it, the Caribbean type feel to the whole image, and the bright, vibrant colours really work well with the character that I'm getting from, where I presume is the artist or the seller in any case. Yeah, I think it works well. You've got little bits and pieces which are a little bit unfortunate. That there doesn't work particularly well, doesn't add anything to it. Could we have come round here a little bit, or I don't know, can you climb it up? I'm sure it's possible. But yeah, I think it's quite nice. I think it works very, very well. The dominant, vibrant colours are perfectly good, and you know, these work well, as I say, with the colours of the characters. It's 17 tonight, that one. Yeah, this occasion we have the one dominant cyclist in the centre here. It doesn't matter that he's the centre of the group and the wheels going out of it, because you have shown me the main cyclist in the front there, and of course this genuine regression added by the little white line here, so we can work our way all the way through the back edge. Okay, there's an elephant in the room though, good people. What am I going to say? Audience participation here. Saturation, yeah, way oversaturated. Maybe it didn't appear like that in the monitor. It's the problem sometimes, they don't really appear, but this is way oversaturated here. He looks like he's been tangoed, I'm afraid. and these are just a bit too bright. The image itself is quite good. He's a little bit chopped off there and there as well. If we got a little bit more room above there, and if you can take the saturation down, it's the saturation rather than vibrance actually, it's the saturation slider. And if you want to take the greens down in the back, it's actually the yellow slider, not the green one, perversely. I don't know why, it works better particularly. So yeah, you've got some good elements to it. It's quite static, there's no movement in the wheels here, so I'd like to see a little bit there. So there's technical issues here which are letting you down, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say. The idea is good, but the execution on this occasion is not up to the standard of the other ones, so it's 14 tonight. Posed shot, but perfectly nice. Yes, you could ask a family group or friendship group going on here. And the cluster of the three together, central in the frame, I don't think works very, very well. And the child standing up the back adds an extra element to it, which works nicely. We have some lovely light behind, but not a lot of light on the main subject. So really we want less light there and more light there to raise it above what would otherwise be a very pleasant image. As it exists, it is 16. Oh, I remember these dreaded sports. I popped my car for the last time I did one of these. Some of the dads turned up with spikes. On the dad's day race. They're taking it seriously, they're really competitive. Yeah, mum's race, and all sorts of injuries happen on these. They shouldn't do it over certain days. Sprinting at the Olympic, not they? But well done for capturing it. Okay, yeah, you've got them all in. On this occasion, I'm going to say you don't necessarily need it. I suppose she's got slightly brighter clothing, so perhaps she's the dominant one. But there's not one that's obviously out in front. You have her chopped off. You kind of need that there, or all of her, and you've got a hand going out of the frame there. It's very difficult to do, but perhaps you needed to step back a little bit to make sure you've got everything in frame. I don't mind the fact that we've got quite a bit of distance in front. You could say we'll chop it off the bottom, but it does give them something to run into. But again, there's a couple of technical issues here which are letting me down. The sky's a little bit dull, but other than that, it's it's an everyday scene, but not up to the standard of other competition entries tonight. It's 14 as well. They're very appealing, aren't they? Lovely, lovely expressions on these two. They're great. I really enjoy just the look that these two have got. The lovely colour palette matching the skin tone is lovely. A little bit of dappled lighting on here. Again, it's just a shame you couldn't have a little bit of light on the face, but very much enjoying the overall capture. And when you get two faces like this, you're sort of halfway there, aren't you, if you can capture that. The cheekiness of them is very nice and very appealing, and a lovely palette. So, yeah, can I see that again, please? Might not be the winner, but I'd like to see how it is. Candy scene, street photography again, something we see quite a lot. It's an everyday scene, as I say. The two groups of people, nicely separated on different tables. At least these two are talking to each other. You see so many of them both looking at the phones all the time, don't they? She looks as though she's eating or drinking, and he is at least on the phone with a ciggy in his hand, but he does at least appear to be doing something other than gazing endlessly into a phone. These two are quite nice, capturing the interaction between them. But it's not a hugely exciting scene, and the background would be much anything. It's a little bit distracting and overbearing. But yeah, I think it's a perfectly good street scene. 16. Enjoying the colour palettes of this one. The blue of the gent on the left, the blue shirt, the blue jeans, are nicely complemented with the yellows and browns of pretty much everywhere else. Almost the sepia look to it. A little bit like the one we saw in the before the break with the couple playing backgammon. Yes, we have this face here, and we've got a little bit of him, but we can't see him. Could you not have got to a stage where you can see all three of them? The same comment applies. So, but all the same, I think you've captured it nicely, and it certainly has a feeling of an exotic location, or a location that we're not used to seeing. So, yeah, well done. 17. Yeah, captured that nicely. Are they enjoying it, these two? They are. I'm not quite sure if she's having as much fun as that one, but yeah, I love the glasses and the hat, that's great, okay. Yeah, this is quite fun, isn't it? Sweeping around the corner here. Okay, what can we do here? It's a shame about that one, isn't it? Ugly in the background. Again, you can't do great unless you want to go to the trouble of playing it out, I don't know. It is what it is. Perhaps you'd be better off coming around here so you've got more of a sweep round, and then you wouldn't be chopping off this corner just here. So we really need to see the continuation of that curve here in order for it not to be disjointed. But yeah, you've got some nice light on the face. It's a little bit dark that side, but that's, that's what it is. What it is. So yeah, a couple of things that don't quite work for me on this one, I'm afraid. But I like the idea of it. It's 15 tonight.
Was that 15?
15, yeah. Okay, yeah, well done. You thought about this because we have the path going from the bottom left corner. Might have been inclined to go right in the corner, just really picky, but there we are. But it does take you round through the image here and up. We can meander our way back up to the top there. And it's dotted along the way by various walkers, so that helps us. And we have a nice bit of detail in the sky. So that works for you. And the structure at the back just gives us something of interest at the back. Excuse me, I'm going to sleep. Okay. Yeah, quite nice. I think what would lift this really, if you had some lovely golden light, some shadows, rather than probably the light is over here somewhere, so you're not getting a great deal of, a little bit flat. This itself is quite flat, but this is quite interesting. And the actual composition is very, very good. You give me a sliver of sky at the top, which is absolutely fine. So it's nearly there, but it needs the light to lift it, and that's the thing with this type of images. So tonight, 16. So separation, you make sure in each window, as it were, there is something going on. So yeah, that works, that's quite clever. You've given us a nice landscape, you've letterboxed it to emphasise the width of this particular image. Not sure, I mean the pigeon is very dull and it's being lost a little bit, so it's not adding anything. So maybe you don't need this at the bottom here. I would be inclined to chop it off somewhere here, maybe even along that line, so you've really got that width room. And you do have the three. It kind of needs to be completely in the frame. It doesn't have to be in the centre, but it'd be nice if he was over here, just as he is. And these here just look a little bit out of focus to me. I'm not quite sure this. I'm also not convinced on this occasion, I'm a fan of monochrome, whether or not this is the best medium for this particular one, because if you're going to do monochrome, you need some strong patterns and shapes to differentiate between the different parts of the image. And a lot of the kind of leaning into the background here, because of the very narrow tonal range which you're going to get, which is by definition monochrome. So I wonder if you might have been better using, on this occasion, the colour photograph. But as it exists, it's an okay image, but it's not quite working for me, this one. 15. The title makes it, doesn't it? Otherwise, it's just four guys walking along. So, yeah, wear your hat, quite right too. He looks as though he could do with that as well, doesn't he? This chap. I know who he feels. Right, okay, so walking into the frame, quite nice, a little bit of gap in front of them, that works well. I always like to see some separation, as you probably gathered, and he is very much obscuring this chap here. So it'd be nice if we could have got all four of them together. I don't mind that there's four, and he's very tight at the top of the frame, there's quite a lot below. So have you got a little bit more in this image? Can you give us a little bit more at the top? Other than that, it's okay. Flat lighting again, there's not a lot of definition in his face, but you have got them, so they're all walking on nicely. We're getting a bit of movement to it, so yeah, it works okay. 16. It's the overall feel of this is quite good, isn't it? Right, you can't see all their faces, but they do look as though they're having fun, even though they're probably working quite hard. Hard for them. Yeah, wake up, it's time for tea break. Yeah. So yeah, you captured it. They've not really put their back into it, are they? Overall colour palette is quite narrow, but that works fine because we've got some nice blues to take it up. Yeah, it's a different scene. Quite enjoyable, and the overall scene is very pleasant. So 16. Okay, this is different, isn't it? Yeah, I mean it's almost a square crop this, which is unusual for this type of image. Presumably because we've got lots of stratas, layers, taking us all the way through the back there. So in many ways you could say, well, could it be a portrait? But you wanted to show this area as well. And it's quite interesting, we've got these silhouetted figures all dotted all over the place. And it wouldn't work if you didn't have these two characters in the front. I think that's quite nice. So it's effective, it's interesting, it's a scene that it's a different take on an otherwise fairly normal scene, but we've got these different, because we have these sandbags going in and out,
Yes.
we have this interesting structure to it. Yeah, it's an interesting image. Again, does it hold your interest for, once you've seen it, do you want to carry on looking at it? That's an acid test, I suppose, but I think it's a good image of the scene. 17.
That was the last one.
Okay.
And you have
4 held back.
4 held back, okay.
So, catching the sun.
Yep.
Cyclists. Oh.
Okay.
Back to the first.
Right. If I look at an image and I think there's nothing about this I can change, I can't do anything but give it 20. It's a great job. And this is a clever use of not negative space because there's something in there, but you know what I mean? It's broken the rules by having the cyclist right at the bottom. As I say, you've been very clever. You've got a nice key line around it as well. You've been very clever by using the portrait orientation to really emphasise the enormity of the mountain and a lovely bit of detail in the sky in the background. So that also gets 20. This is a great capture, very much enjoying it. It does have that brown sepia feel to it, again a bit of flatness, which is a bit of a shame, but the capture itself I think is great and really caught the moment. That gets 19. And these two are, as I say, very appealing. And I would just like to have seen a little bit of light in the face to lift them a little bit off the background there. But yeah, well done. 19 for that one as well.